Hello people, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel StudyTube India for Commerce and Management. In this lesson, we will be studying implementing management control systems for small and medium enterprises, which we will refer to as SMEs um, for the further lessons. So this is Unit 5 under Management Control System. So before directly jumping to how to implement management control systems for micro small and medium enterprises, let us first discuss the definition of SMEs or the classification of SMEs according to micro, small and medium enterprises. So this classification is given under Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006, and it has been classified into two categories. First, enterprises that are engaged in manufacture or production of goods, and other is enterprises engaged in providing or rendering of services. Further, these two categories are subclassified based on the investment in plant and machinery as micro, small and medium. So the enterprise that is engaged in manufacture or production of goods, and secondly जिनका investment in plant and machinery does not exceed 25 lakh rupees is referred to as micro enterprise. If the investment ranges between 25 lakh rupees to 5 crores, then it will be considered as small enterprise. And if the investment in plant and machinery is more than 5 crore but not does not exceed 10 crore, that is ranging between 5 to 10 crores, is referred to as medium enterprise in case of uh, the enterprises manufacturing or production of goods and service goods. Similarly, enterprises that are engaged in providing or rendering services, and secondly जिनका investment in equipment does not exceed 10 lakh rupees is considered as micro enterprise. Investment in equipment ranging from 10 lakh to 2 crore rupees will be considered as small enterprise, and investment in equipment ranging from 2 crore to 5 crores will be referred to as medium enterprise. So this is the classification of SMEs according to Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. There are about 21 chief industry groups in small scale sector that includes food products, chemical and chemical products, basic metal industries, metal products, electrical and machinery parts, rubber and plastic products, machinery and parts except electrical goods, garments, wood products, non-metallic mineral products, paper products and printing, transport equipment and parts, leather and leather products, manufacturing industries, and other services like microwave components, plastic film capacitors, carbon film registers, electronic teaching aids, optical lenses, drugs and pharmaceuticals, electric motors, so on and so forth. So there are a variety of industries that come under SMEs. So here the important factor limiting the development of SMEs is funds and intellectual capitals including human capital. So यहाँ पे दो चीजें lack करती है, and that is the reason for failure of SMEs. That is, first is lack of funds and lack of intellectual human resources, that is skilled labor. So the management control of SMEs should concentrate on financial and human resources. The content of management control of SMEs mostly consists of marketing control, which is the tool for ensuring that the marketing program and activities of the firm always get directed towards the marketing objectives of the firm. So you've already studied that there are four important elements that constitute the marketing control process. First is formulation of performance standard, एक standard set करना, then performance appraisal, improve your or appraise your performance to that set standard, then correction of deviation, that is if there is any deviation from the set plan or from the set standard, correct it, and then lastly is plan reformulation, that is reviewing and taking corrective actions in the said plan. So here the marketing control department can use tools and techniques like marketing cost analysis, credit control, market share analysis, budgetary control, which will help in getting better results, right? Then the second content of management control is financial control, which is important to manage and examine the obtainment, delivery, expenses, revenue and distribution of funds frequently, and corrective deviations. So as already discussed, most of the SMEs fail because of lack of funds. Therefore, financial control is very essential. In accordance with the SME's own features and issues of the external environment, the financing channels for SMEs are comparatively limited. Therefore, it is not easy to raise funds by issuing share or bonds, taking a loan from banks, and so on. Therefore, for SMEs, the financial control should mainly consist of to control the financing and investment, usage of fixed capital and liquidity, the earnings and rational allocation of funds. So the goal here of financial control is to speed up the turnover of cash flow and attain capital value adding. That should be the goal of financial control. Then the third um content in management control is human resources. So, in SMEs, particularly in high tech SMEs, instead of financial capital, intellectual capital is the major source of value and driving the main factor. Value is human capital, structural capital, and social network capital. Human capital refers to the knowledge, experience, expertise, and operational capacity to solve customer issues. Therefore, the enterprise should establish an incentive mechanism to reflect the potential of human resources and make implicit explicit. Therefore, SMEs should control intellectual capitals and human resources control as the main element of intellectual capital control. Now, let us see the methodology for implementing management control systems. So, the very first step in implementing management control systems is strategic planning. So, strategic planning is the process of determining the programs that the organization will carry out and on the estimated amount of resources that will be assigned to each program over the next number of years. So, the basic objective of strategic planning is to ensure that the organization is moving or directed towards attaining organizational goals. Then next step is budget preparation. So budgets are a significant tool for successful short-term planning and control in the company. And operational budget generally covers a 1 year period and states revenues and costs planned for that particular year. So these budgets can be stated in monetary terms, although these monetary amounts, that is in terms of rupees, that can be supported by non-monetary amounts like quantities sold or units produced. One important thing that needs to be taken into consideration while budget uh, preparation is that it should be differentiated from strategic planning and forecasting. We need to differentiate both and then carry out the budget preparation. Then third step is management control of operations. So management control is working through others so that the work can be completed effectively. Managers do not control costs. What managers do is to control the actions of individuals who are accountable for incurring costs. So, the general operations of managers would be to choose the employees and ensure that they are sufficiently trained, decides where they fit best in the organization, give advice, suggestions, resolves arguments within the liable centers, then approves suggested actions that the employees are authorized to use their own authorities, communicate with other managers to get support and to solve the problems. So, to continue with all these activities, managers require an information which is referred to as formal information, like task control information, budget reports, and non financial information. Next step in methodology in implementing management control system is analyzing performance reports and evaluating managerial performance. So performance measures are a central part of management information and reporting system. It handles performance measures for different levels of an organization and for managers at these levels. So when we speak of performance measures, there are five levels of performance measures. So these five levels are nothing but the representative areas from which the data has been gathered. So first is the customer or market level, under which financial measures can be prices of companies' products compared with the competition or prices of companies' traded securities. Right? उसमें non-financial measures can be market share held by the company's products, third-party quality ratings for all the products in the industry. That is your customer or market level performance measure. Then next level is total organizational level. So under that, financial measures would be return on investment, residual income, return on sales cost, and revenue measurements for each responsibility center. And the non-financial measures could be number of new products introduced or number of new patents filed. So this is the non-financial performance measure for total organizational level. Then next level is individual facility level, which includes manufacturing plants, distribution, sales, customer service, research and development center. So under that, uh, performance measures would be capacity utilization, throughput time for products, percentage of times promised delivery dates are met. So these can be the performance measures for individual facility level or individual department level. Then next level is individual activity level. For instance, activities like warehouse facility includes receiving, storing, dispatching. So based on these activities, we need to measure the performance. So under that, financial measures would be direct material variance and direct labor variances, manufacturing overhead variances, cost per activity level, and non-financial would be time taken to set up a new machinery for new production run, number of accounts receivable processed per hour, then inventory level not to exceed certain amounts. So these are certain non-financial performance measures under individual activity level. And last level is by product or uh, program level. So under that, performance measures would be cost and revenues investment across responsibility centers as far as they pertain to program or product. So these are certain measures of managerial performance, and we need to evaluate these while implementing management control system. And the last step in implementing management control system is management compensation. So every organization has different objectives, and a significant role of management control system is to encourage organizational members to achieve those objectives. And these objectives, goals, or standards will probably provide strong incentive only if the manager perceives them as just and is committed in achieving them. The commitment is the strongest when it is a matter of public record, right? So these are the sequence of steps that are used in implementing management control systems. So there's a framework for strategy implementation, which we'll be studying now. The first component is organization structure, which establishes the roles, reporting relationships, and divisions of responsibilities that form decision making in an organization. Then we have human resource management, which deals with selection, training, evaluation, promotion, and termination of employees so as to increase the knowledge and skills needed to implement the organization strategy. Culture refers to the set of common beliefs, attitudes, norms that explicitly or implicitly guide managerial actions. Then there's also financial and non-financial factors, which includes monetary bottom line, net income after tax, return on equity, and so on and so forth. And lastly, we have aid in developing new strategies. So the main role of management control is to guarantee implementation of selected strategies. In industries where the environment is dynamic, management control information, especially of non-financial nature, can provide a basis for considering new strategies. So this is the basic framework for strategy implementation. Now let us go ahead and see the next concept under implementation of management control system in SMEs, that is management control structure. So organization structure, as you know, is the formal definition of lines of responsibilities and authority and communication channels among different levels of hierarchy of management. The structure of the organization divides the task among peoples for efficiency and clarity, and synchronization between independent parts of organization to guarantee organizational effectiveness. So this particular structure must segment key activities or strategic operating units to improve efficiency through specialization, response to a competitive environment, and freedom to act. So the choice of structure reflects um, strategy in terms of company's size, product or service diversity, competitive environment, internal political consideration, and coordination needs for each component. The management control system is the whole organization system and is more positive oriented. The structure of management control system is generally built around a financial structure where organization resources and activities are conveyed regarding monetary units. Correct? So the mixed resources are activities of organizations which can be used in combinations to make an organizational unit, and the job is fixed to achieve one or more purposes, which is generally referred to as responsibility centers. So the word responsibility center is used to indicate any organization unit that is headed by a responsible manager. The responsibility center exists to achieve one or more purposes within the organization's goals and set strategies to attain these goals. The goals of the responsibility centers are to perform their part in executing these strategies. So there are at least four different types of responsibility centers, which are classified in accordance with the nature of the monetary inputs that are measured for control processes. So the first being the cost center, that are inputs are measured in the monetary terms. Secondly, revenue center, that is output is measured in monetary terms. Then profit center, which both revenues, that is output, and cost, that is input, are measured. And lastly, we have investment centers, which tells the which tells the relationship between profit and investment. So speaking of the cost center in detail, cost centers generally produce goods or offer services to other parts of the firm because they only make goods or services, and they have no control over sales prices and therefore can be assessed on the basis of their actual total costs. It is basically a section of an organization in which all the costs are added, and the manager uh, is responsible or is held accountable for the costs incurred, though he is not responsible for the revenue generation. The sole responsibility of the cost center is to limit the cost of the entire enterprise, and it is not held directly accountable for generating the revenue of the organizations. Then next center is revenue center. Generally only have the power over sales and have very less control over the costs. So to assess a revenue center's performance, look only at the revenues and overlook everything else, that is how much cost is incurred or how much input has been involved in this particular center. So here a manager of revenue center is held accountable for the revenue credited to the subunit. So the only disadvantage or limitation of this revenue center, is their assessments are based completely on sales. So revenue centers have no motive to control costs. उनका assessment जो है will only be considered on the base of the sales they make or the revenues it generates. Then we have profit centers, is a responsibility center in which inputs are calculated in terms of expenses and outputs are calculated in terms of revenues. And इनका जो assessment है, that is on the basis of controllable margin, that is the difference between controllable revenues and controllable costs. So the main advantage of profit center is that it gives the powerful tool for measuring how well the profit center has performed. And lastly, we have investment center, which is defined as a responsibility center in which inputs are measured in terms of costs or expenses and outputs are measured in terms of revenues, and in which assets are also measured. So in simple terms, investment centers not only take costs and revenues into consideration, but also the assets used in the particular division. So that is referred to as investment responsibility center. In this lesson, we will be studying management control systems of service organizations. So firstly, we will be beginning with service organizations in general. So service organizations and their management control systems are in general different from the systems in manufacturing organizations, right? So there are certain features that make them different, which we'll be studying in this slide. So the first is absence of inventory buffer. So inventory buffer is basically a safety stock. So in case of service organizations, there is absence or there is no safety stock. Services cannot be stored, right? For example, airplane seat, hotel room, hospital operating room, or the hours of lawyers, or basically other professionals. All these services cannot be stored, right? So there is no inventory buffer. There is no safety stock in case of service organizations. Then next is difficulties in controlling quality. A manufacturing firm can check the products from where they are shipped to the customer. However, in case of service, a firm cannot judge the quality of a product until the time of service is provided, and then the judgments are again often biased. Then in case of um, another differentiation is labor intensive. Most service firms are labor intensive and cannot use tools and mechanize production lines by substituting labor by decreasing the costs, right? For example, in case of manufacturing industries, you can automate it, or semi-automate the production process or manufacturing process. However, in case of service industry or service organizations, it is labor intensive. That is, you need to employ skilled professionals. Then it is multi-unit organization. So some service organizations may operate many units in different locations with comparatively small units. For instance, fast food restaurant chains, auto-rented firms, uh, these units operate in different locations in small units. So that it is a multi-unit organization. So these are certain aspects or dimensions that make management control system in manufacturing organizations different from service organizations, right? So let us go ahead and further study professional services, that is professional service organizations. So these might include research and development organizations, law and accounting companies, healthcare organizations, engineering companies, architectural companies, consulting companies, advertising companies, and so on and so forth, right? So the special characteristics of professional service organizations is, first, that is goals. The professional organization has comparatively a small number of tangible assets. Its main or its core asset is the skill of its professional employees, which doesn't show anywhere in its balance sheet. Therefore, return on assets used is not related in such organizations. Here, the financial goal is to give sufficient compensation to the professionals. Then professionals are, again, as explained earlier, are labor intensive. That is, cannot be replaced by automation or machinery, right? You need to employ skilled labor or skilled professionals, I would say. Then next is output input measurement. The output of professional organizations cannot be calculated in physical terms like units. We can determine the number of hours spent by a lawyer on a case, but this is not a measure of input, not output. Output is the efficiency of the lawyer's work, and it is not measured by the number of pages or hours in the courtroom, right? So here, output and input measurement will be different. Then professional organizations are comparatively small and work at a single place. The senior management can individually monitor which is going on and individually encourage these employees. And marketing, in terms of marketing, uh, in terms of professional services, a clear separation between marketing activities and production activities does not exist in most organizations. In some cases, professional ethical code restricts the amount and character of marketing efforts. That is clearly seen by, therefore, it is difficult to allot appropriate credit to the person accountable for selling to a new customer. Let us see what are the management control systems under professional service organizations. That would be in terms of pricing, profit centers and transfer pricing, strategic planning and budgeting, then control of operations, performance measurement and appraisal. Here, some occupations, for instance, suggestions of an investment analyst can be compared with the original market behavior of the securities. Then doctor skill level can be measured by success ratio of his operations. So there are different control systems or performance measurement and appraisal measures which can be taken into consideration for professional service organizations. Then in some occupations, there is also internal audit processes to control the quality, right? Now let us see financial service institutions. So over in this particular line, bank and thrift institutions can be included, insurance and security companies, different NBFCs can be added under financial service organizations. So the first characteristic of financial service organization is monetary assets. So most of the assets of financial companies are monetary. The present value of monetary assets is more easily calculated than the value of place and other physical assets or patents and other intangible assets. So that is one characteristic. Then we have a time period of transactions. So there should be a way to control continuously observing the transaction during its completely life, that is from the start to the end, including periodic audits of all outstanding loans. And some transactions are finished fast based on the information that is acquired instantly or over a period of time. Therefore, there is a need of a system to report securities and evaluate the risk to the organization if prices move against the trader's security. Then next characteristic would be risk and reward. So most business decisions involve a trade-off between risk and reward. The bigger the risk, the bigger should be the anticipated reward, and vice versa. So in financial services, service companies, this trade-off is more clear than in business investments such as um, launching of a new product. Then another characteristic would be technology. So, financial service companies have used information technology as a way to provide innovative services. So, all these factors need to be taken into consideration while implementing the management control systems. Then we have healthcare organizations, which include hospitals, clinics, then similar physicians in those lines. It also include health maintenance organizations, retirement and nursing homes, home care organizations, medical laboratories, right? So, special characteristics of these would be that they have different social problems. Then there's a change in mix of providers. So, within the overall increase in healthcare costs, important changes have happened in the way in which the healthcare is delivered and in the practicability of particular types of providers. So many services that were conventionally given in hospitals um, are not given in clinics or in patients' homes. So there's a change in mix of providers. Then there are also third party payers. So about more than three-fourths of the healthcare is given by the government and insurance companies, and the balance is given by the individual patients. So this information is required when the output input ratio has to be measured. Then professionals are the same that have been discussed earlier, and there is importance of quality control because it deals with human lives directly. Then next organization would be government organizations, which include all the organizations controlled by the government. Their business activities can include electricity and water utilities, transport facilities, right? So there are some characteristics under the government organizations, like first and foremost would be political influence. So the managers over here in these organizations may be prohibited from making sound rather unbiased decisions based on the political influence. Then public information. So in a democratic society, the press and public think that they have a right to know everything about government organizations due to the laws of freedom and information. So because of this, sometimes there is mismanagement of information. Then next special characteristic would be attitude towards client. So most organizations are supported by the public. They get their revenues from the general public. So the managers recognize this and do their best to convince the employees to offer a good service. Then next is red tape. That is, the government has propagated huge number of rules and regulations, and some of these are required. Others are responses to small errors that become highly publicized. Therefore, this characteristic has been introduced by the government. Um, Another characteristic would be management compensation. Managers and other professionals in government organizations are likely to be less compensated than their counterparts in business. As a result, the best managers do not go into public services. However, there are certain exceptions to scientists and engineers. Therefore, there is a problem of rewarding good performance. So over here, the management control systems can be to imply strategic planning and budget preparation, as well as the performance management, something that we have already discussed in the previous lessons.